Guys, our partners at Manscaped have done it again. The leading brand in men's hygiene and grooming is proving to be the leader in men's health as well. April is Testicular Cancer Awareness Month, and our friends at Manscaped have teamed up with the Testicular Cancer Society to help spread the word. Manscaped is donating $50,000 from the sales of the new special edition Purple TCS Lawnmower 4.0 electric waterproof trimmer to their longtime partner, the Testicular Cancer Society. There are only 10,000 units in existence, so make sure you get yours today while supplies last. Just visit manscaped.com/TCS to access resources about cancer prevention and men's health. If you'd like to save 20% plus get free shipping on the new Lawnmower TCS 4.0 Special Edition Trimmer and help Manscaped raise awareness and give back to the Testicular Cancer Society, use code Chael at manscaped.com or just click on the link below. We haven't seen very often where you have a number one contender identified, but you have a title match still looming. Off the top of my head, I can think of that once. It was for Francis Ngannou. It was meant as a compliment. Francis went out, he fought Rosenstrike. I want to say it was 2-4-6. Dana goes to the press conference that night and says, he's next. Now, that was meant as a compliment. It was meant as saying, I'm making you the number one contender. And don't forget, Jon Jones was looming. None of us knew when Jon was coming back. So Dana was even getting in front of that and saying, no matter what happens, including the return of Jon, you're next. It was meant as a compliment, but it was a unique situation because the heavyweight title, which was Daniel and Stipe, was still looming. It was months away. So all it meant for Francis is he doesn't get a paycheck for a while. And Francis is the one that brought this to our attention. We go, oh, wait a minute. Well, that was an unintended consequence. This was meant to be a good thing for you. And I'm bringing that to you because I feel as though we're seeing that more and more, and timing is so important, right? Like, you don't have a fight, no matter what you think, until that contract is signed. It's wildly important. Things change. The landscape changes quickly. When you're a decision maker, you're only as good as the information that you have. I'll just give you an example. There was an Ultimate Fighter coming up. Ultimate Fighter being the greatest marketing vehicle in our industry, but also in the history of our industry. Nothing has worked as well. Now, coaches were set. I can't remember what they were, but coaches were set. And the year was 2012. I'm wrong, it was 2013. Right in this time frame, coaches were set. BJ Penn, out of nowhere, calls Dana and says, I want to coach opposite Frankie. I want to fight Frankie again. And all plans were scrapped, and BJ and Frankie came in. It created some hard feelings. But as Dana said, I had this fell in my lap. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't have this option. It wasn't I had to go with this. BJ was red hot back then. Frankie was red hot. Their rivalry was red hot. It's the right decision. I'm sharing this with you because nothing is done until it's done. There was a gentleman who was announced to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Something happened and he didn't make it to the event. Whatever happened, but he did not walk across that stage. He's not in to this day. That story is 15 years old. They never put him in. They didn't bring him back the next year or just annoyed it. Or even in the absence of your presence, here you're in. He's not in. Nothing's done until it's done. I just share that with you. I'm looking at 170 pounds. I'm looking at Muhammad. I'm looking at Burns. I mean, true tough guys. Guys that are truly hungry and want an opportunity. These guys could not have the respect of their peers anymore. And it appears to be a very clear number one contenders match. What that does, if you're the guy that is supposed to get the next title shot, right? There's an argument that you got two voices that are fighting. It sounds like you got it, but you do have these two voices that are fighting. Now all of a sudden, they're going to fight. Great. They're off the board. You're clear. It's obviously your shot. Well, not so fast when you find out they're up in 7 days. Or these guys, what are they up in 14, 12, 13 days? You get the point. They're up right around the corner. So now the two guys that are trying to take what I want anyway, but I don't have it, they're trying to take it anyway, are now going to have endless media. And by the way, a beautiful victory. Whoever wins this is going to have a beautiful, beautiful victory and would appear very clearly to be a number one contender. Well, that's great. You got to have a contender, then you got to have a next contender, you got to move on. But when you don't have the fight signed as is, you don't have the venue booked, you don't even know what date it's going to be, it sounds like the argument that they're already willing to engage in is going to be stronger. I'm just bringing that to your attention. We're seeing it again at 185 pounds. Take you back a week ago, Dana revealed to everybody that Adesanya has really been busy getting a hold of him, getting a hold of Hunter Campbell, really wants to do a match right away. And Dana said, I think we're going to do it. I think we're going to get him in towards the end of summer, which would be a quick turnaround. But they wanted to do this for him. They then booked Du Plessis and Whitaker. And that sure is an interesting thing to do. Whitaker, clearly the number one contender, number one ranked guy, and for good reason. Du Plessis, number 6, but highest ranked guy, who hasn't had the opportunity yet. Oh, and by the way, is the one that Izzy called for. It's an interesting spot. So those guys come off the board in what would appear to be a number one contenders match. But is it, right, it's hard to say. Is it? I don't think anybody's in a hurry to do Whitaker and Izzy 3. So, you see what I'm saying? That they come off the board. Du Plessis at number 6. They decided, that's just not high enough. It's just not high enough to put in there for a world title. Okay, great. There's no one else. The only other guy that hasn't had an opportunity would be Strickland, and he's, I believe, 7. So I'm just saying, for a person in Chael's shoes, if the information that I'm given is accurate, which is we're going to try to get Izzy in there by the end of summer, we have to get him in there with somebody. He's got to have an opponent. The number one contender and the most likely guy are now with each other. Where does Izzy go? And there's a sign, guys. There's an answer. There's been no mistakes that were made. It's not as though they made this match and oh, geez, that's right, we have to get Izzy somebody. No, they have a plan. I just don't know what it is. I've heard people guessing that they're going to bounce Izzy. I don't believe this, by the way. I don't at all think this is it, but they're going to move Izzy up to 205 to go after Jamal Hill. I don't believe that. I do not believe that. Not with Piera going up to that division and potential for these guys to run into each other for the 10,000th time. But I am sharing for you, there's some moving parts. And even when you have something that you want to do, you got to wait. You got to wait. And Dana will go to press conferences and he'll say the same thing every single Saturday night. He'll get asked a question post-fight and he'll say, let's see what happens. But there's a lot on that. He doesn't know yet what the injury report is. He doesn't know what the suspension automatic by the commission is. He doesn't know what the attitude of the athlete is. He doesn't know what the motivation and the turnaround time can be. It's one of those things you have to wait and see what happens. But as I look at this, and this all stems from Stipe's position, right? And I can't say Stipe and Jones. Wherever Jones goes next, it's a world title fight main event because he's bringing it. So it's a little bit different. I can't say Jones. I have to say specifically for Stipe to get this match, to not get passed up on. And while we're taking a look at that, while I believe that Colby is safe, I'm just sharing for you the two guys that have argued and rocked that boat the absolute most are now going to be in front of the media more than they've ever been and have a beautiful victory to help support their case. What do they do in the meanwhile? They wait till the venue and the date and the Leon and all these things come around and then wait till somebody's better and go through training camps and a whole other. I mean, you're going to be out for a meaningful period of time, which doesn't seem like a reward that they would want. And the last time this position was tested, it was by Francis, and he did not look at it as a reward. He did not like it at all. He liked being the number one contender. He didn't like being without a fight, having to wait for something to happen. And now you've got the same thing going on with Izzy, it would appear. There's a plan, by the way. Nothing's overlooked. I just don't know it. They got a plan. We're going to get some announcements. We're going to get some clarity. We're going to get some big things coming soon. But if you're in one of those positions, it's very important that you don't lay there quiet and that you think something's going to happen. Even if you heard it somewhere, you read about it somewhere. You got to fight for that stuff. You got to fight for it every day. Don't expect anything. You are not in the Hall of Fame till you come across that stage, and you are not in a championship match till they bring that belt cage side and shut the door.